Today, I'm going to show you how to make this extremely decadent but quite simple pasta. It's made with my famous tomato and garlic confit that is slow cooked in luxurious olive oil until jammy and caramelized. It's then blended together with some cream to turn it into a rich pink sauce. This one is perfect for any night of the week if you want to dress it down for a quick midweek dinner or make it a little bit fancy to serve to those guests on the weekend. I'm also going to show you how to serve it with some perfectly seasoned and juicy chicken breast for those after a little extra protein. It's my tomato and garlic confit pasta. First and foremost, you need garlic and a whole lot of it, 2 bulbs to be exact. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking, that is far too much garlic for 1 bowl of pasta, but this is not your regular tomato and garlic pasta. This is a tomato and garlic confit pasta. And when we slow cook garlic in lots of olive oil, the flavor softens and becomes very mild and almost sweet. So you want to double, if not triple, the amount of garlic being used. For those that are new around here, this is my favorite way to peel a large amount of garlic. Remove the outer layer of skin and then place the garlic bulbs into a heat-proof bowl. Submerge them in boiling hot water and let them sit for a minimum of 5 minutes. This softens and swells the skin, allowing it to easily slide right off. Using a sharp knife, I also like to cut the core of the garlic off. This is the hard woody part thing that you will find at the tip of the garlic bulb. It won't soften when we confit the garlic, so it's best to remove it. Repeat this with all of the remaining garlic. It does take a little time, so I recommend popping on a podcast and just enjoying the process. That I actually find very satisfying and quite meditative. Once you have peeled all your garlic and taken some time to admire your handiwork, pop them in a bowl and set to the side for now. For those garlic skins and cores, I'm going to grab a Ziploc bag from the freezer where I keep all of my vegetable scraps because I like to use these to make a delicious homemade stock with. Shove them in there and then pop back into the freezer. Another ingredient we need in this recipe that is going to add a lot of flavor and is also lovely when cooked confit style is some French shallots. We need 6 to be exact. I'm going to cut them in half and then peel the skin off, which I'm actually really struggling with here. Peeling onions is one of my most hated tasks. You can see that I'm losing a lot of the actual shallot part, but never fear, that is not going to go to waste. Cut the root off and then repeat with the remaining shallots. Now remember how I said nothing is going to waste here? Well, I am grabbing that big Ziploc bag of my vegetable scraps and adding the shallot scraps to it as well. Next up, we are going to grab a shallow oven-proof dish and add the garlic cloves, 400 grams of cherry tomatoes and the peeled shallots to it. I'm adding 2 rosemary sprigs for a little extra flavor, but you can omit these if rosemary isn't really your thing or replace them with other aromatics such as thyme, peppercorns, lemon zest, and even chili. Season with a generous amount of salt and pepper and then add just a touch of olive oil, a healthy portion of 2 cups to be exact. This is just a rough measurement that works for my pan. The important thing to note here is that everything is fully submerged in the olive oil so it does not burn and is able to properly confit. And before you say it, not all of this olive oil is being used in this recipe. We only need around 2 tablespoons for the pasta and the rest will be stored in a glass jar that I like to keep on my kitchen benchtop to use in any recipe that calls for olive oil. In particular, when I make a tomato confit, I love to use the oil in a salad dressing as it has a lovely tomato, garlic, and rosemary flavor. Perfect to be drizzled over some lettuce, fresh tomatoes, burrata, and basil. Push everything into the olive oil with your fingers and then bake very slow and low in the oven, 150 degrees Celsius for 1 hour to be exact. While that bakes, I'm going to get started on the chicken. When I originally made this recipe, I did not include chicken, but a lot of you suggested that I do, and I'm glad that you did. I'm using 2 large chicken breasts here. I'm much more of a chicken thigh over breast girl, but when cooked correctly, chicken breast can be extremely flavorsome, tender, and juicy. Using a sharp knife, I'm going to cut through the middle to halve the chicken as this is going to cut down the cook time. Repeat this with the second chicken breast. Now this next step is not necessary, but I don't like to skip it when cooking with chicken breast. Grab 1 sheet of Glad wrap and lay it onto your chopping board. Place the chicken breast onto it and then grab a second piece of Glad wrap and lay it over the chicken. Using the smooth side of a mallet, pound the chicken until it's around 2 centimeters thick throughout. This will allow us to cut down on the cook time and for the chicken to cook evenly throughout. It creates a controlled chicken cooking environment where each piece will require roughly the same cook time. Place the chicken into a large bowl and sprinkle over 1 tablespoon of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon of sweet paprika, and half a tablespoon of onion powder. Also add a generous amount of salt and pepper and a drizzle of olive oil. I find the olive oil helps coat the chicken in all of the spices. Using your hands, rub the spices into the chicken, then give it a little pat. Set to the side and leave to marinate while the tomato and garlic confit continues to cook. It will need a minimum of 30 minutes. After an hour or so of baking, the tomato and garlic confit is ready to take out of the oven. That slight bubble in the oil that you can see here is exactly what we are after when it bakes away in the oven. It tells me the oil is at the perfect temperature to confit something. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Pick out the rosemary sprigs and discard of these. Using a slotted spoon, scoop out the tomato, garlic and shallots and place into a blender. The slotted spoon helps allow the oil to drain because remember, we don't need all of that olive oil for this recipe. Once all the tomato, garlic and shallots are in the blender, grab a sterilized jar and pour the remaining olive oil into it. Cover with a lid and store on your benchtop to use in any recipe that calls for olive oil. The tomato juices will have burst open into the oil, but once the oil sits, these juices will sink to the bottom. Pop the blender on, which I'm really struggling with here, and add 1 cup of heavy cream. Blend on high until everything is well combined and you have a smooth sauce. I did say in the intro that this was a pink sauce, but it turned out to be more of an orange sauce. Give it a little taste test and add any additional salt and pepper or garlic confit oil if needed. As you can see from my face, this tasted pretty good. We could just call it a day here and toss some pasta through the sauce, but we are going to fry up that chicken to add to the dish. On a high heat, drizzle some olive oil into a large pan. Once hot, add the chicken breasts to the pan. Do this step in batches as we don't want to overcrowd the pan and risk the chicken broiling and not getting a beautiful golden sear on the outside. Cook for 3 minutes on each side or until the internal temperature of the chicken reaches 74 degrees Celsius. I can tell when my chicken is cooked by just giving it a little poke with my finger. When it is firm but has a slight spring to it, your chicken is ready to go. Take off the pan and leave to rest for at least 5 minutes before slicing into it. And just look at how juicy that is. While you repeat this with the other half of the chicken, bring a large pot of water to the boil and heavily salt it. The salt is going to flavor the pasta while it cooks. I'm using a penne pasta today, but you can use any shape that your heart desires. Cook 300 grams of pasta until very al dente, at least 2 minutes before the suggested cooking time on the pasta packet, and reserve up to 1 cup of pasta water before draining. On a low heat, deglaze the pan the chicken was cooked in with a splash of pasta water. Use a wooden spoon to scrape off all of those delicious chicken bits on the pan as they are going to add such a lovely flavor to our sauce. Add the sauce to the pan and stir through until emulsified with the chicken bits and pasta water. Add the pasta to the pan, a splash of pasta water, and 30 grams of freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano. We are going to add the pasta water and cheese in steps to ensure the sauce beautifully emulsifies. This just means we are going to be left with a silky, glossy, and velvety texture. Pasta water is pure magic when it comes to making restaurant quality pasta as it helps coat the pasta with the sauce. Keep stirring through on a low heat. The pasta will continue to cook in the pan, which is why I always suggest to drain it before al dente. I also like to keep a little extra pasta water if I'm making this pasta ahead of time. When it comes to reheating it, add a splash of pasta water and it will be good as new. Place the chicken on top and enjoy. Thanks for watching and make sure you like and subscribe for more. I always love to hear when you make my food in the comments, so please let me know if you tried this dish out and let me know what you think.